Hello, hello, hello. Join us here, guys. We're gonna start in 30 seconds. Thanks for coming. My name is Antek. I'm part of the ETHWarsaw team, and I'd like to very warmly welcome you to the ETHWarsaw Meetup number 11. We've got some great news for you today. So, yeah, how do you like the new venue? It's pretty good, huh? It's a little ironic that we are meeting in a bank, but they welcomed us very, very warmly, as you can see. Yeah, so let me share some news first, and then we'll have two speakers, Kamil Górski and Wojciech. Here he is. And yeah, so does this work? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so we're gonna return to that in a second. But first, I would like to announce ETHWarsaw number 3, 2024, the conference and hackathon. So we have the date set. It's gonna happen right now. Yeah. Here we go. So 5th to 8th of September. We're probably gonna change the venue, so expect some changes on that front. But just to make sure that we can do it the right way and for you to enjoy the whole event. So don't expect much changes in terms of schedule. We're gonna have the conference and the hackathon. But we're gonna share more details in the coming weeks with you. Another piece of news from ETHWarsaw is that we are looking to expand our team. So if you are active member in the community or would like to be one, come talk to me after the talks, or to Paulina, who is sitting here in the front. And we'll be happy to welcome you and find out how we can work together. Yeah, so that's all the news from the ETHWarsaw front. And we have two great talks from you today. The first one is gonna be from Kamil Górski, who will be talking about on-chain analytics, on-chain data, and how to use it in a business environment, in Web3 business environment. And Wojciech Kulikowski will talk about Farcaster and how to build apps on it, and a little intro to the protocol. So yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting meetup. So without further ado, Kamil, let's give him a round of applause. And to działa?
Does it work?
Yeah, good luck.
Raz, dwa. Can you hear me, guys? Yep. Okay, cool. If this requires to be louder, is it okay? Okay, cool, great. So I'm really happy to see all of you here tonight. My name is Kamil. I'm the CEO and co-founder of TokenGuard, and today we're going to talk a little bit about discovering growth insights from dApps and ecosystems. Unfortunately, my co-founder and partner in crime, Damian, who is responsible mostly for analyzing dApps, couldn't make it today. Yeah, thanks. So I will be mostly focusing on ecosystems. And on the last ETHWarsaw meetup, we had a really great talk by Tomek Mierzwik from TokenFlow, who explained how to decode and track Ethereum data. And today we're going to discuss how to change this data into useful business insights from ecosystem and that perspective. So let's jump straight in. Yeah. Okay, so firstly, let's summarize on what has happened in the Web3 space within the last 1.5 years. So in the middle of 2022, we had a little crypto breakdown where most of the popular assets have lost somewhere between 3, 4, up to 30, 40 times their value. And we have seen some of the most popular coins like EOS losing 30 times their all-time high value, and some of the less popular coins such as LF0, but of course also Bitcoin, that lost around 4 times its all-time high value. So we started to ask ourselves, what is the difference in managing two similar ecosystems so that one of these ecosystems lost 10 times more compared to the other? So yeah, so to firstly start this discussion, I think we need to categorize layer 0 and layer 1 networks into some basic categories. Of course, we can multiply these, but I decided to categorize this only into 3. So the first category are meme coins, basically either ERC20 or Bitcoin frameworks that do not offer anything more than transferring, minting, burning, or staking. Usually they are characterized by a high number of wallets, but very low activity because they do not offer any other activity. The second group are niche models, where you probably all know Ripple, which is a real product that actually solves the problem of slow and expensive interbacking transactions being much faster and cheaper than Elixir or SEPA systems. But this is basically a B2B model. And the second really cool example is Nodl, which is layer 1 network that actually changes mobile devices into mobile staking nodes, allowing mobile app developers monetize their apps without the user knowing it. Of course, we can discuss the efficiency of a mobile phone battery on contrary. However, this is a really interesting story. And on the second side note, we need to remember that this kind of a business model delivers a huge supply of the token to the market. And on the other hand, you need to find the demand side for this token as a kind of manager of this network. But the most interesting group that I think we should focus on are ecosystems. Basically, the differentiator of ecosystems is that they allow third parties, such as projects, dApps, VCs, to build upon these ecosystems. And of course, Ethereum was the first to introduce smart contracts, and then was a huge number of followers that did the same or almost the same with a small twist. So yeah, it's not perfect. Maybe here. Yeah, so let's firstly start analyzing on what these ecosystems are trying to actually accomplish. Basically, if you've taken part in any ICO or IDO or other token generation event, you've probably noticed in the chart, in the token chart distribution, that you as a community member or someone taking part in a pre-sale or public sale, that you basically buy tokens from a small chunk of the overall supply of the tokens. Usually it's somewhere in between 3 to 5%, which means that the other 95 or 97% belongs or will belong to someone else. And the good thing about this is that usually 10 to 30% of these coins belong to the foundation that is managing this ecosystem. So here we have examples of free ecosystems, LF0, Aster, Moonbeam. They all work on the same principle. Ethereum also did. So if these foundations are keeping around 10 to 30% of the token or coin supply in their treasury, so-called, then their main goal is to increase the value of this treasury because that allows them to spend more money on developing it even further. So if you have a treasury with a coin that dropped 10 times from its all-time high, then the treasury value also dropped 10 times. So in order to increase the value of these coins, basically they need to increase the demand for the coins that are underlying the whole network. And in order to achieve that, they usually follow two different strategies. I mean, two complementary strategies. So the first strategy is to deliver a steady inflow of developers and dApps into the ecosystem. And by that, that is easily accomplishable with hackathons, with friendly developer tooling, and grant programs that each of these ecosystems usually runs. On the other hand, they are trying to deliver a steady inflow of community users that will be using these dApps built by developers with community events, community marketing, regular off-chain marketing, airdrops, staking, and other on-chain activities, so that the ecosystem actually works as a circle where builders are delivering dApps and protocols, and the community is using it. And this basically circle grows steadily. So it's not working. So we therefore can assume that dApps and layer 1 or layer 0 ecosystems need to cooperate with each other. And we're trying to find some patterns regarding development of such an ecosystem. And of course, I think that the basic principle that everybody believes is that DeFi protocols are the most important for ecosystems to grow. And this is basically correct. 90% of the volume that is happening in Web3 ecosystems is generated by DeFi protocols. Even though they have many less active users than gaming or NFT solutions, they generate less transactions, they still own the majority of the volume that is being moved through Web3 ecosystems. And of course, on the other hand, we have entertainment dApps, which includes NFTs, gaming, gambling. And we also know that gaming activities is growing in engagement and popularity very quickly. So the question is, does these two types of projects guarantee the growth of each ecosystem? So in order to analyze this, we basically started to dig deeper into TVL and DeFi data coming from different ecosystems. Here we'll be focusing on Solana, which I guess everybody knows. So this is a chart that you can see straight on DeFi Llama and probably in many other DeFi aggregators, but DeFi Llama, I guess, is something that we can agree is one of the best DeFi aggregator. And this chart basically shows the correlation of TVL, which is denominated in dollars, with the price of the coin, which is also denominated in dollars. But the problem with this chart is that it actually counts the same asset twice, because the TVL of DeFi in Solana largely consists of the Solana coin. So calculating the correlation between two basically almost the same assets doesn't really make sense. So in order to calculate this properly, you would have to come up with some kind of solution to normalize the TVL calculation for Solana ecosystem. And the first idea that comes to mind is to basically divide the value of TVL denominated in dollars by price of the Solana coin. And this gives you this kind of chart. And does anybody notice anything different about this chart compared to the previous one? Yes, it doesn't follow. It doesn't follow, and it doesn't follow really strongly. What do I mean by that is that if you calculate the correlation of TVL calculated in the native coin of Solana with the price of this coin in dollars, you're going to get basically a very negative correlation, which is extremely strong. So as you can see, like you guys, I guess everybody knows how correlations work. Above 0 to 1, we have a positive correlation. Between 0.5 to 1, we can assume this is a strong correlation. So anything that drops below 0, it's a negative correlation. And as we can see, in many cases here we got -1, which is extremely strong decorrelation. So does anybody know where the miscalculation is here in this and previous calculation? What did we do wrong that TVL calculated in the native coin of Solana brings such weird results? Anybody? Maybe some educated guesses? That would matter, not in this case, but it's a good direction. Okay, so the thing is that we forgot about something. We forgot that the TVL denominated in dollars of Solana, so basically all the charts that you see in DeFi Llama, all the charts that you see in DeFi aggregators include the TVL, which consists mostly of coins and stable coins. So you can either choose between this very simple correlation, which basically calculates the same type of data twice and draws some really useless conclusions out of it. You can try to normalize this data using denomination through a regular, through the price of Solana asset in this case. And this is something that DeFi Llama doesn't even offer, or any other aggregator doesn't even offer, so you need to do it all by hand. And you're still going to end up with very bad predictions and miscalculations, because the TVL of Solana consists, and TVL of any other ecosystem consists of coins and stable coins. So if the coin price, for example, if the price of Solana is going up, then the basket of these coins and stable coins behaves as follows. So the value of the coin, of the native coin, is going to be at the same level, but the value of the stable coins that are divided by the increasing price of Solana are going to go down. And this is why you have a miscalculation here. And here you cannot draw any useful insights. Here you have miscalculation. So basically, the data that both traders and ecosystem managers are using to analyze their DeFi ecosystems are kind of wrong. Of course, if someone has a really good team of data analysts, and this is a rare case, trust me, then they calculate this. However, in most cases, they don't. So we forgot about something, and this missing part are stable coins. So to answer our previous question, what a growing ecosystem needs to have before actually investing into DeFi's, DEXs, lending protocols, etc., they need stable coins. Either stable coins or bridges that will bring in those stable coins, even if that's wrapped USDT or USDC, they're still going to need stable coins. And this kind of data, if you collect it properly and analyze it, then you can actually draw really useful insights, because you can see that in this case, the stable coin movement is actually either following or pre-acting compared to the TVL. And a similar activity will be visible if you compare the stable coin movement to the price of the asset. So stable coins actually serve as a DeFi health indicator. If you take an ecosystem which is consisting of, let's say, 20 DeFi protocols, or in case of Arbitrum or bigger networks, this is going in hundreds, then you can actually analyze the health of this whole DeFi sector by analyzing the inflow and outflow and the distribution of stable coins within the whole basket. So when there is inflow of stable coins to this ecosystem, this means that investors are ready to invest and are willing to buy digital assets. Then you should analyze the share of stable coins within the whole TVL that exists in this ecosystem and the changes within this share. So if the share of stable coins is growing, this means that either the inflow of stable coins is growing, but if inflow of stable coins is steady, or at, let's say, 0, then this means that investors are selling digital assets and are probably going to move out of this DeFi ecosystem by sending their stable coins into CEXs or DEXs and then transferring them to fiat money. So this is something that it's not actually available in most of the DeFi aggregators and most of the tools, and something that is also really useful for traders because this can actually bring in fundamental trading insights about whether the DeFi ecosystem is developing and growing, which of course will cause the whole ecosystem coin price also to grow, or whether this is dropping down. So next, insights regarding ecosystems. So it's all super important, but it doesn't really matter if you fuck up in the very first place, because here we can see a coin supply comparison between three substrate-based coins. Here you can see Aleph0, of course. A little bit above you can see Moonbeam, and on the very top you can see Aster, which is a pretty big network with around $400 million market cap. And the question is, how did they manage to inflate this token so much? Does anybody know? Or maybe you have some ideas about this. What does produce coins? Yep, exactly. That's staking. Very good. Yeah, so what Aster did is they decided that they're going to enhance growth of the dApps and usage of the dApps by delivering a feature that is called dApp staking, which means that users can stake their coins in the name of specific dApps, which means that users are staking a lot of coins, which is pretty good, but they do not really thought out on how to properly design the tokenomics, which ends up as this chart that you can see here, which basically made the number of coins grow rapidly up to 4 times within the last 2.5 years from deploying of this ecosystem. And we're not going to dive deeper into this because we could discuss it for hours. However, the fact is that you need to properly design the tokenomics itself to remember about this. And of course, before investing into DeFi protocols, DEXs, lending protocols, you need to firstly deliver a bridge or make some really stable coins come to your ecosystem. Okay, so do you have any thoughts, maybe questions? Yep. Again? How do you get the data about stablecoins? So it depends on the ecosystem. If the ecosystem is covered by Dune Analytics, then you can easily get this data at Dune. How we collect this data, we basically index whole blockchains to do this. We use Subsquid, where we have a partnership with Subsquid. Subsquid is a really great indexer that allows both fast and comfortable indexing of different blockchains as well as dApps. However, they do not cover all the ecosystems yet. They've started with Polkadot and Substrate, and we basically started with the same ecosystem. And we're growing also with them and the new chains that they're supporting. But in case of Ethereum and other bigger chains, you can create this type of dashboard on Dune Analytics. This is not going to be super interactive, but you can. If you're trading and this is important for you, then you can. You will not get this data at DeFi Llama, that's for sure. Yep? Sure. Nie, jeszcze nie. To jest, jeszcze będę opowiadał. Okay. So the question was how stable coins serve as a kind of indicator. So you cannot use stable coins to understand the health of a single DEX or single lending protocol because there can be a lot of unexpected events regarding this one DEX, this particular DEX or DeFi protocol. But if you take a look at a whole ecosystem where you have, for example, 20 or 30 of those DEXs or DeFi protocols or lending protocols, you name it, then you can analyze the aggregation of stable coins moving into those DEXs or DeFi protocols and moving out of those DEXs in DeFi protocols. And what you need to do, since all of these protocols are on-chain, you need to analyze all the liquidity pools that are inside of these DEXs to understand how the number and share of stable coins is changing compared to the number and share of other digital assets. So if there are a lot of stable coins flowing into this DeFi ecosystem, this usually means that investors, so basically if the net inflow is positive, this usually means that investors are willing to invest and buy some digital assets so that DeFi TVL will grow and the coin price will grow as well. If the, not including net inflow and net outflow, if the share of digital assets within the whole ecosystem is changing, which means that, for example, the share of stable coins is growing compared to the digital assets, other digital assets. This means that usually investors are selling their digital assets to move out of the ecosystem, which predicts the decrease of the TVL and therefore the decrease of the coin price. Does it make sense? I will be describing this in an article on our blog, so if you're willing to have a read, then I invite you to do so. Okay, so let's move on to dApps. What about dApps? dApps have it much harder compared to ecosystems because ecosystems were focusing on developers, and developers usually are people who are coding either for fun, sometimes for money, but they treat it as their work, so source of revenue, and they are not going to change their type of work just because there is a crypto breakdown. Of course, some of them did, but not all of them. And in case of dApps, situation is a little bit different because dApps are targeting end users, basically people who are using crypto as for fun, either for entertainment. Sometimes, in case of DeFi protocols, they're also using it for making money. And here we got an example of Uniswap, which is like a top one DeFi projects out there that you can imagine that has lost 10 times from its all-time high, or maybe not all-time high, but I wanted to make it comparable to SushiSwap, which is also a very good product, and it lost 30 times compared to its all-time high. So what did Uniswap do to actually have a better situation and better stability compared to Uniswap, to SushiSwap, other than having a better brand? So what Uniswap did is actually they've copied the strategy of ecosystems. Basically, they've turned their DeFi protocol into a growing ecosystem, which grows on developers building new products that connect to this protocol. And on the other hand, instead of community, they have traders that they are targeting with off-chain marketing, airdrops, and finally building some really good UX and UI that we're all still lacking in the Web3 space. If you take a look at the hiring position in Uniswap, you will see that they're basically doing regular Web2 off-chain marketing, which means content marketing, SEO, and working on the UX solutions. And in terms of liquidity providers, which are also an important group of stakeholders, what they did is that they implemented with each and every new implementation of their protocol, they've came up with a better algorithm for calculating fees. So in the first version of Uniswap, you had a stable fee that liquidity providers could make money on. In the second version, you had fee tiers that would enhance liquidity providers to deliver tokens that are niche and not that popular. And in the third implementation of the protocol, you had a dynamic fee system, which would basically enhance liquidity providers to create new token pairs that were previously not existable in Uniswap protocol. So this is just an example of how to do this properly, but here we have some very basic examples directly from our apps. So we took two applications coming from Astar ecosystem, Airlift1 and RSwap. Airlift1 is an NFT quest gaming platform, kind of. So basically, it connects the best of two worlds, so NFTs and gaming. And RSwap is a regular classic DEX that doesn't even have anything really special about it. It's just the first and biggest DEX in the Astar ecosystem. So basically, you can see what an NFT and gaming company needs to do to actually bring in some activity, which is not that really big. I mean, with some tweets and some events, they can generate up to 30, 40 daily active users, which do not stay longer with the app, so the retention is not very high. And in case of RSwap, so basically a regular DEX on Astar that doesn't really run any effective marketing strategy, you're still going to have at least 100 or 150 daily active users that are going to use this app mostly for producing some additional revenue. So basically, the end line about this is that you need to have a proper business model standing behind your app to make users stay with it for longer. And in case of bigger DeFi protocols, here we got some data coming from Dune Analytics. This is data regarding one of the biggest DeFi protocols on Ethereum, but it doesn't really matter which DeFi protocol it is because the data is very comparable between these two. So if you take into account the number of wallets, you're going to see that the small wallets generate around 40% of the share, and the so-called power whales, the biggest users, generate only around 2 or 3% of the overall wallets. But if you take into account the number of transactions, then you're going to see that this 2% of power whales generates around 20% of transactions. And if you move to volume, you're going to see that this 2% of power whales generates around 90% of the volume at this DeFi protocol, which basically means that for managers and people who are running this DeFi protocol, it doesn't really make sense to focus on those users or even those users. It mostly makes sense to focus on whales and power whales because these are the type of users that are generating the most revenues, fees, and traction for this protocol. And this looks very similar in the whole Web3 DeFi space, basically because with the crypto breakdown that we had in 2022, we had 90% of the users leaving the ecosystem and 10% of the experienced users or whales or VCs or hedging funds staying in the system to make money in it. So yeah, so that's with that keynote, I'm going to finish the presentation. Hopefully this year we can expect that the things are going to get better, as we can see that the activity in crypto is steadily increasing within the last 3 months. And just a little bit of shilling, we just released a token guard, our growth index, where you can easily compare the most important metrics of layer 0 and layer 1 ecosystems. And of course, we're going to deploy the features that will allow to analyze these ecosystems in a similar manner that I just presented within the next few months. We're already testing with testing it with the ecosystem managers who are willing to understand what is exactly happening in their ecosystems. So do you have any questions? Yep. Okay. Yeah. What happened? I have no idea. I have no idea. As far as I know, they were heavily promoting the app there, but that's it. This is just like a you know a small insight. As far as I'm concerned, they were just promoting the app there. And this brought something into the app, but still, compared to regular DeFi, it's still a lot of hard work that is not always resulting in engaged users. But maybe we also need to dig deeper and understand what has happened there. Maybe something really exciting. Yeah. We're already moving to other chains. We've supported Arbitrum, Solana, and probably second quarter this year we're going to support Ethereum and EVM chains. So yeah, keeping fingers crossed for this, because Ethereum is oh my God, it's a bunch of data. It's a really huge chain. So there is a lot of transforming there and analysis. Any questions? Okay, cool, thanks. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any insights, happy to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamil, for this presentation. So we're gonna have Wojtek in a second. Jak to się robi full screen?
Papier.
Robi prawdziwy full screen. Masz tutaj, on musi być blisko komputera, żeby działał. Yeah, so Wojtek is all mic'd up, so let's give a round of applause for Wojtek. And yeah, good luck.
Okay. Okay, now I can hear myself. Then who has a Forecaster account? Okay, we get smaller. And who posted over past week? Beautiful. This means that we have a large TAM presentation today because nobody knows what's going on. So, you know, it's going to be a nice opportunity for some intro. So it's going to be an intro to Forecaster, slow intro about myself. I'm Wojtek. Some of you may know me from Twitter or Forecaster. I'm in crypto since DeFi summer. I've been always around Ethereum and properly decentralized networks. Haven't had the real job since 2019. I was always doing something else. Founded 2 companies. One did fine. One collapsed in summer this year, as many crypto companies. And currently I'm working on Supercast. I'm also helping Agora. Agora is a governance platform used by Optimism DAO, Uniswap, ENS, Nouns DAO. So if you ever delegated your votes or you're voting on any of these, you've been using Agora. And primarily I work on Supercast, which is a Farcaster client. So you know my bias for this presentation. Any new Farcaster user is a potential Supercast user. So yeah, I'm huge Twitter fan. I built my whole career. Anybody who I know here, we know each other from Twitter mostly. And Farcaster is super important for me, mostly because of how I would like Twitter to be built. And you know, API access now is closed. API access is under a huge payment. And Farcaster is essentially an answer of how to build modern social media apps without having any permission to build them, either from Elon Musk or from any other company or from any other service provider. So yeah, let's start talking about Farcaster. Essentially, Farcaster started around, I have the date here. Farcaster started around 2021, but only started onboarding users around 22. Here is a DM I got from Dan, the founder, in summer last year. And he was onboarding many crypto-native people. And by that time, I guess many people also heard about Farcaster. This was around the 30 million A16Z fundraise. But essentially, as many of people who onboarded around that time, I totally churned and didn't get back to the platform till summer this year. But yeah, it started in 2022. And essentially this year, Farcaster started picking up steam due to a few factors. So first, protocol now is fully ready and fully permissionless. Nobody needs any permissions to use Farcaster. The main app of Farcaster, Warpcast, is getting really good. And we are in this phase where we no longer have this like junky beta. We actually have a working system, and we start building new clients, onboarding new people, etc., etc. Short slide about what is Farcaster from the technical standpoint. This is not going to be a technical presentation. Paulina already gave me shit for doing stuff that boomers don't understand. So we're only going to talk like very briefly about tech, and for any questions, I can answer them in the end. I recommend preparing good questions. There's going to be a small giveaway at the end, so you can already start thinking about it. So essentially, what is Farcaster from the technical perspective? It's a social media protocol. It's not federated, so it's not like Mastodon. It's not a system where you still live on somebody else's server, and whoever is a server provider, they can ban you, they can delete your content, they can just say, I cannot swear here, right? You know, you cannot be censored by anyone. It's not on-chain, so it solves many problems with on-chain scalability. And on-chain UX. So example of a fully on-chain social media protocol would be Lens. And you know, Lens is great, but it's just a different path of building a social media protocol. So what is Farcaster, essentially? Farcaster is the third more complex thing of building a social media protocol. It has both the off-chain part, which is essentially like a peer-to-peer protocol, very similar to what BitTorrent would be if you ever, you know, downloaded files from the internet illegally. This is essentially how Farcaster works. And for parts that require some computational safety and guarantees and double spend prevention, Farcaster uses smart contracts on Optimism, and things like signups, things like permissions for third-party applications go on-chain. But things that you actually do every day, you post, you like, you follow people, are going to the peer-to-peer off-chain system. And you know, at the top we have also apps, and apps are like, you know, any other apps. We know them. We have them on the phone. We use them on the web. So very briefly, this is the Farcaster architecture. This is the part that scales very well. And this is the part that gives developers and users headaches because it requires gas fees, and nobody likes gas fees. But we're abstracting them quite well for now. So yeah, that's technical part, and for any questions, you can keep them later, and I will gladly answer. There's a lot of questions about like security and in general protocol, permissions or lack thereof. So feel free to ask them. So this is what is Farcaster, and most importantly, the next slide is why you should use Farcaster. So this presentation will be about why you should build on Farcaster, but we should start about why you should use Farcaster, because none of you actually is. I don't think we had anybody who's an active poster. So why should you use Farcaster? First, the best part about the current state of app is for sure community, and it's often like a meme in crypto. That community is this like Telegram group of people who dump on each other and just speculate on shitcoins. But no, with Farcaster we have like actual community, and there's this early moment when like you can literally DM or message anybody on Farcaster and they will reply to you. So Vitalik is very active on Farcaster. People like Brian Armstrong, Balaji. No. OK, I don't have the screenshots. But essentially, everybody who matters in crypto, like actually matters, is on Farcaster. And LARPs are on Twitter, essentially. So if you want to connect with people who actually matter on Farcaster, have real jobs in Coinbase, in Ethereum Foundation, or in like your favorite rollup provider, you should be on Farcaster. That's number one. OK, I will explain that later. That should go to airdrops. So the second reason why to use Farcaster is actually growing quite fast. So as you can see from May, June this year, weekly active users is like steadily growing. It's not bots yet. It's like actual users. It's actual like word of mouth. There's no big marketing. Mostly people come from meetups like this. So you kind of have the alpha here as well. And yeah, people just come to use protocol just as people use Twitter. So maybe if you're not a huge Twitter person, you don't have much to look for on Farcaster. But if you are a Twitter addict, you should be there. And this is a great opportunity to catch the early following, to catch early valuable follows, and you can establish yourself as the important person on the new platform. So yeah, the third really cool reason to use Farcaster is channels. This is kind of like subreddits. So Farcaster right now is this like if Twitter and Reddit had a baby. Channels is a way to post with your existing social graphs, with existing following, into different communities. You can also create your own channel about whatever drives you, and you can connect with people this way. So the most popular channel right now on Farcaster is Degen. I will explain why in a moment. But it's this like organic community where a lot of things is happening at the same time. It's also not just technical. If you are into let's say art or books or movies or fitness, you can also join a fitness channel or like any other of those. And I met some people in fitness channel who have great routines. There's a lot of great conversations there. But also there's art channel. I have nothing to do with art, but there's people very fascinated with art and they share their own things there. So it's also kind of interesting to see. So yeah, like now maybe the most important part, not the most important, but one that like actually really took off over past 2 months, let's say. Because on Farcaster, everybody has, or like at least majority of users have the connected wallet to their social media accounts. There's nothing stopping you with like designing an airdrop for the community based on their activity, based on their social status. So we had 2 events like that. One that maybe was the catalyst for the shitcoin mania that's happening right now. First event was through Matthias, who is a developer somewhere in the US, who randomly launched a coin called Point. And there was like a random mint, the coin went up, and many people made unmoral amount of money out of this. And the second one is actually from a Polish developer, Jacek, who is based in Wrocław. So shout out to Jacek. He's not with us today. But Jacek deployed the coin called Degen like a month ago. There was an airdrop based on the Farcaster usage. It was very well designed. And yeah, essentially, at the current valuation of this, it was like 10 million or something. People got people got between like $2–5K, you know, randomly. So being active on Farcaster just pays if you're into these games. If you don't like, you know, having fun with random tokens on the internet, then this is not a good reason for you. Maybe you should stick with like the first three, but this is the most compelling argument for people who are in crypto for money, and I guess most of us are. So yeah, the most serious argument though for me, for example, as I told you, I'm a developer, I'm a big Twitter fan. When you build your app on Farcaster or you're just a Farcaster user, nobody can censor you. You can always either spin up your own hub or you can use an API provider. Currently, the largest API provider for Farcaster is Neinar. They recently raised a venture round just for building Farcaster infrastructure. They have a great product. Supercast, my app, is running almost fully on Neinar. So huge shout out to these guys. There's also Airstack. And there's even like Searchcaster, who is just like a random dev. Shout out to Greg. Creating his own search API and building it as a public good for Farcaster projects. But none of this has anything to do with the core team of Farcaster, which is really cool. The audience is the community is really organic. So again, you don't need any permissions. If, for example, you don't like that Neinar is a paid product, you can always spin up your own hub. You can use the open source tools to sync your your Postgres database, and you have always the full control over your experience. And what goes well with this is alternative clients. So this is Supercast. This is my product. Supercast is this Farcaster client for pro users. I'm catering for people who post a lot, who require tools like scheduling, threads, analytics, multi-account usage. So if you're running like a company account or you have some alt accounts, you can also very easily do it from Supercast. And you have clients like more clients like this. I will showcase them in a moment. So this is why you should use Farcaster. Okay, now I'm gonna showcase them. So other example of Farcaster clients would be Tiles, that is fully focused on images, and it's like Farcaster Instagram. Another would be Yap. Yap is focused on posting to many social media protocols at once, and also Twitter. So I think on the app you can both use Blue Sky, Lens, Farcaster, Twitter at the same time. Probably more coming. That's their whole thing. We have OpenCast, which is essentially Farcaster with Twitter clone, if you're into that, with Twitter skin, if you're into that. And we have Farcord, which is Farcaster in a Discord skin. And every of these projects is honestly built, possible to build in 1 week, because it's super easy to use these APIs. And what's the most important about all of this? So maybe we kind of had this part that is permissionless and open, but this is where things get really interesting. If you are building your own app, your own social media app, and or like whatever app that has a social component, you can very easily build it on Farcaster and automatically tap into the whole user base to 50,000 signed up accounts, or I think right now we are at 6,000 or 8,000 weekly active users. So there's many people that you can just tap into just by connecting your app to Farcaster protocol. It's very easy to also reach out to everybody on the platform at once, just because everybody is quite active and everybody is glued to their phone. And this is how you can kickstart the cold. You can solve the cold start problem and kickstart your network effects when you have a community of people ready to try your app. Obviously, the numbers right now are quite small, but everything's growing. It's a perfect time to join, and it's a perfect time to build on Farcaster, and this is what this presentation is about. The example here is, so this is Kaido, a friend of mine, and I know these screenshots look very similar, but this is a screenshot from Supercast, and this is a screenshot from Warpcast. Supercast is my client. Warpcast is the largest Farcaster client from the Farcaster core team. And you know, as you can see, like the bio is the same, the username is the same, the social graph, the Kaido's followers and following is the same. It's different apps, but all the meaningful social data is shared between all of them. The second, or like the third most compelling argument is it's just a community full of founders. The average Farcaster user right now is a crypto founder or crypto builder, crypto developer. It's really high value users. So one, it makes it easy to sell to, and this is something that I'm kind of taking advantage of. But also it's a great community to get early feedback on whatever you're building because everybody's going through a similar thing. Many people would raise money, some people would go in a bootstrap way, but everybody's collaborating, especially in the founders channel. So you can go to Warpcast today or Supercast, you can go to the founders channel and you will see a lot of people just discussing current events, discussing strategies. And in my opinion, it is one of the best communities on the internet to be a part of today. And the fourth reason would be a smaller one, but it's also quite easy to get grants for projects built on Farcaster because it's built on crypto rails and it's by default open source, public goods vibes. It's easy to get a grant, especially from Optimism, also because Farcaster is deployed on Optimism, and Optimism has a very extensive grants program. So 2 weeks ago, there were results of retro public goods funding from Optimism Collective, and Farcaster-related projects received over 1 million in grants, which is fantastic. And people just like, you random builders would get like 20, 30K retroactively just for building a cool app that had, some meaningful usage, but nothing unicorn heavy. It's just, rewarding builders, which is quite fantastic. And now we are also, it's me and Limes from Layer 3. We're also putting a proposal for another round of funding from Optimism for Farcaster builders. We're requesting right now, again, around $1 million. So if once that goes through, hopefully you will also be able to apply for even more funding, non-dilutive funding from Optimism Collective. So you don't need to pitch any VCs, you don't need to do any of that stuff. You pitch your public goods products and you get money, which is quite fantastic. And that would be it. I really wanted to do a short presentation. So the summary, you should be on Farcaster because you don't have the cold start problem. You own the API. You can always spin up your own hub, connect to Optimism, and that's it. And you can use all the crypto native features like connected wallets and airdropping people your token, just like that. Small announcement. It's still very undisclosed. I haven't spoken about it on the internet yet, but Supercast is also receiving a meaningful grant recently. So I'm hiring a full stack developer if you're interested in this kind of problems. If you ship to production before with meaningful usage, hit me up on Farcaster. I would love to talk. And yeah, for anybody who asks a great question, I will send you a paid invite for Warpcast. To prevent spam and to create like a sustainable model for the protocol, Farcaster has storage fees, which is equivalent of Ethereum gas fees. So right now you have to pay like $5 a year to sign up. So if you ask a good question, you have $5 because I would send you a paid invite. That would be it. That's the last slide. I'm ready for the questions, I guess.
Okay, thanks for the presentation. Like, really looks awesome. So, my question, because you showed like an example of two similar apps. One was yours, and the other one was someone else. Like, are the original posts and content that users create stored either on chain or on one of these hubs, and you can choose whether you will be using this data, or do all those different apps need to collect their own content from users? How does it work?
So now we're getting into the tech part. Paulina, you can you can grab a beer.
Sorry.
So every hub at any given time stores all the data. The technical, or like, hubs follow eventual consensus. So for a short period of time, I actually don't know how long, but let's say under 5 minutes, maybe some hubs are not in sync, but eventually every hub owns every single piece of the protocol data. Right now, downloading the whole protocol data takes around 8 or 10 gigabytes. There are very hard and strict limits on the text size. Again, there is this concept of storage fees and spam prevention, but maybe for another question. Essentially, if you if you spin up your own hub today, it will download all the data from the network. It will constantly gossip peer-to-peer information from all other hubs in the network. And then if you build your own client or your own app, you have the access to all data. There's one question about scalability of such solution. As I told you, right now the whole network is around 10 gigabytes. But if it scales, to a size that actually matters, let's say 100, 1000x, it's gonna get to something like 20 terabytes, which is less manageable to do solo, but still, something that you can relatively easily spin up on AWS and work with it. Once we go above that, there's definitely room for sharding, for some other rules. But right now, we need to solve the usage problem rather than the scalability.
As I understand, there are no limits in types of content that users can create, right?
There are very strict limits in types.
I mean, right now, probably there are limits mostly to images and the amount of text. But I guess that in the long-term roadmap, the Farcaster, other foundation or collective, whatever it is, they will probably plan to implement videos and other type of content,
so
right?
Videos and images are not stored in hubs. You need to self-host any image or video that you upload to the network. Or like as a client, you need to provide hosting for the images. This is because one, it would be super easy to spam with just data blobs, just random images. So we don't do that. Whenever you want to upload an image, you just upload, or the client for you uploads, a link to an image hosted somewhere else. But yeah, about the types of content. Again, right now it looks very similar to Twitter. There is mostly one piece of content on Farcaster is called cast, which is an equivalent of a post. Cast can have up to 320 characters and two embeds, and embeds are essentially any URLs. And in the future, there is nothing stopping you from submitting an FIP, which is Farcaster Improvement Proposal, for any other type of content. But so far, we're good with casts, and we'll see what's gonna happen later.
Awesome, thanks.
Let's do there. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm Alexander Gwaskov.
Nice to meet you, Alexander.
Yeah, I really don't understand how your storage works, but can you explain how your API can be censorship resistant? Yeah. Which technologies you use?
So censorship resistant comes from the fact that any given time you can permissionally spin up a hub. So the workflow is exactly like this. You go to a GitHub repo, you clone the repo on your computer or an AWS instance, and you just start the process of syncing with the whole network. And since then, you own the instance of the network on your computer. So if you submit the data to the hub, on your own, it will gossip with other hubs and This is the definition of like censorship resistance. Nobody can ban you from cloning a GitHub repo and running the code on your own computer.
But it's not API, as I understand. API for social media.
What do you mean by an API?
On next slide, you have FRAS, censorship resistant APIs.
Okay. Oh yeah. Cool. So this is the censorship resistant API. You can spin up a hub. You can submit any message you want, and it's gonna go.
Everybody can launch own API, and
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I understand.
You know, working directly with this type of.
Okay, right now I got it. Thank you.
You know, there's independent companies that just like publish their own set of APIs just to make your life easier as a developer.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Wojtek. Thank you for the presentation. My question will be about the long-term vision of the social of this social network. I already have the account on Forecaster, and I'm a marketer. That's why I'm interested in long-term vision, because we know all these cases with Blue Sky, Mastodon, so they are not so popular as expected. That's why I want to ask like your vision about everything. And I know that A16Z invested in Forecaster, and they actively promote. They created a lot of accounts for their investors, yes, and their team. And I see that they have this long-term vision, so they are interested in promoting this social media.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What is your vision of their long-term?
Okay. So my personal vision for why we need a protocol like this is that conversation on the internet in 2024 is too important to be owned by any other company and be controlled by US government, by EU, or whoever is gatekeeping the access. And we deserve as societies, we deserve as people an access to free information that we can control. And that's my vision for Forecaster. I want every meaningful interaction on the internet to be handled by a neutral protocol that is not controlled by any single entity. That would be my vision. The vision of Dan and of founders is essentially building a huge social media that will be a great business. This is why A16Z invested as well. And the goal there is to build killer applications that people will love and they will use, and organically the app will be growing. I can hear you, yeah? It probably makes sense for microphone for the recording.
Yes, super, thanks. So the next question, if you don't mind. How Forecaster founders want to attract mass audience? Because you mentioned that now there are many crypto entrepreneurs are on Forecaster, and it's obvious, but how they want to attract my mom, for example, or your mom, how they want to attract?
That's a great question, and I don't think I am qualified to speak on their behalf. I guess the roadmap for next few months is to create very strong communities on the main app, on Warpcast. So communities like these channels. I guess this is the idea. So anybody can come to the app and create their own channel. And Founders is a great example that has a lot of traction. Degen is fully organic, and if anything, the founders of Forecaster kind of don't like the situation where the Degen channel is the most popular one. But yeah, that's the plan. If you have like a hobby or something that you want to talk about on the internet, but you don't really have a place for it, I guess that's the first go-to-market strategy. But as anything in startups, I fully expect this will be changing over time. So I cannot give you a concise answer on how this will work in the future. Of course.
We have another question here.
Yes, hi. So as you said, in Web 2, It's very difficult to build social media companies because Facebook, Instagram, and so on, their main leverage against competitors is their network, which is calculated like literally in billions. In Farcaster, this is not the case. So how different apps differentiate themselves so they can get traction? And yeah, is it only UX or is there something else to it?
That's a fantastic question. That's actually like an ongoing debate in the Farcaster developer circles on like what types of clients can actually, you know, be better as the default client, Warpcast. The question is still open. I think the beauty of entrepreneurship is that, you know, you're coming to a market with a product. You can bootstrap your existing user base with Farcaster. You can connect to the API, and you can create something magical for your customers. And then, you know, this question of like, you know, do you have good enough marketing? Do you have good enough growth strategy? And this, you know, the answer how to build a big app, I don't think, you know, any social media protocol will solve for you. I guess that's the entrepreneur challenge. But what Farcaster provides you is the access to first community, to their social graphs, and to the first user base.
Do we have any other questions? Yeah, I see 3 hands, but I'm going to go in the back.
Hi, and thank you for the presentation. My question is, how extensible and open to innovation Farcaster is? Because you've mentioned you have like a single metadata standard for cast, which is a text. But if I wanted to create a different kind of application on Farcaster with, for example, custom reactions to posts or something like that, how hard would that be to do something like this?
That's another excellent question. So there is very clear protocol specification. And at the data level, protocol is quite simple. You can see that there's like few types. You know, there's, you know, type cast or post, and it has a simple definition. And so far, the protocol was almost exclusively developed by the core team. But I guess there's nothing stopping you, or like not I guess, I know there's nothing stopping you to come up with your own application that has, you know, traction, that has a user base. And if you want to extend the protocol with this, you know, user base on maybe a centralized application to start, but, you know, people want to do something and people want to use their social graphs for it. People want to use your existing Farcaster reputation for it. After a few months of proven product market fit, I guess, you know, the core team will be very open to talking about how to add it in the protocol. But even today, there's literally nothing stopping you with like opening a PR and just asking community of hub runners to merge it. So I guess this is where the governance happens. Just as with Ethereum, you know, the governance happens, or like the future of the protocol is decided by the node runners, the node operators. So if the chain splits, I, as the node operator of Ethereum mainnet, I can decide what chain I want to follow. And that's the same mechanism here in hubs. If you open tomorrow a PR in the main repo, and you will tell to everybody, hey, I figured out this new reaction type, and, you know, the test suite is passing. Everything is going well. The hub is syncing. You know, our instance of hubs are syncing. If anybody wants to run it, let's do it. You know, you can ask me. You can ask the community, and people will start running your fork. And maybe even, you know, this is not gonna be the hub of the core team. Maybe they will, you know, they will be very angry about it. They will tell you that, oh no, it's actually, you know, putting too much weight on the network. There's maybe too much data. But, you know, if you convince other hub runners, it's going to make its way to the protocol. So, you know, again, it's fully permissionless. Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for the presentation. One more question. As I understand, it's censorship. It's not possible to censor because it can be decentralized. But to be really like not possible to hack it somehow, you need probably at least like 2 or more instances of the hubs running at the same time, right? To juggle between this. Because if there's like one instance of an API somewhere, someone closes it, it's done. Yeah. So how do you manage the traffic between these hubs to keep it running?
In terms of bandwidth?
For example, yeah. But in general, if you have 2 and one was closed, what's then, right? Or you want to switch immediately to keep it running?
So as of today, there is 600 Farcaster hubs running. Most of these hubs is being run by airdrop farmers who want to, do something on the protocol before there is a token. By a healthy estimate, there is maybe 50 or 100 honest nodes. So let's say that the rest of them will turn off. We have 100 Farcaster hubs, and the gossip protocol design is definitely above my pay grade. I will leave that to the protocol engineers in the Farcaster core team. But essentially, how it works is that any second or any other time unit time frame, you will gossip your data with 5 other hubs, and chosen at random or maybe at another leader selection. I have no idea how the algorithm is implemented, but in a way that after you select randomly 5 hubs to connect to, and the other hub will will select 5 other hubs, you will reach the consensus or the gossip network with the whole system. But again, I have no idea how it works. It was a question above my pay grade, but essentially everybody syncs with everybody all the time.
We have one more question here, and I think this is going to be the last one.
Hello, my name is Arthur. I'm Solidity developer, but I have a question more like a social. You said it's censorship resistant and permissionless social network. My question is there any moderation, or is it implemented, or what about it?
So moderation happens on the client level. Warpcast, the main client, the largest client, has some sort of deboosing. So they sometimes mute people that are posting, illegal content, or they're very spammy. If you post, 10,000 casts a day that have, some negative or just some spam information in it, they will just hide you in their client. But for example, it will not be taken out from the protocol, and Supercast will show it because I haven't implemented any moderation yet. So I think I can safely say Supercast is prone to any porn or any content attacks for now. But yeah, all moderation happens on the client level, and any client can opt into whatever type of moderation they want.
Yeah. What's stopping me then spinning on my own client and just spamming the hub of Chainpart?
Absolutely nothing. There is. I haven't used it yet, and I don't know any case of how to use it. But there is a peer score. So if your hub just tries to break the consensus or does something very bad to the whole network, the other hubs can start rejecting it, just to avoid problems. But I don't know how it works. There is some prevention through it, but you should try. You should post about it, and you should see how it's going to work.
Okay. But it also, I guess, doesn't help against the illegal content because it's not a spam.
No.
Okay, thank you.
You can spam the network pretty heavily right now.
Yeah, you had a lot of questions here. Obviously, we all loved your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time to share your knowledge.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a networking session, so anyone that has any other questions can just talk face to face.
Yep, and whoever asks the question is entitled for a free Farcaster invite, so just hit me up and I would love to answer any.
Oh, airdrop alert.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't comment on that. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, come join us. Let's talk. Let's network. We have some snacks and drinks there. And yeah, just remember that the conference is going to happen 5th to 8th of September this year. And yeah, I'm going to be posting this on Twitter right now, so give it some love. Thank you, guys. See you on the next meetup.